Welcome, 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 beautiful soul family. Thank you for being patient today. We've had sudden thunderstorms here in Greece. And what with Mercury retrograde, suddenly there was no internet. So I'm thrilled that we are together today, because June is a really pivotal month. And I wanted to talk to you in some detail about the energies that are coming up. So thank you, Lucy, for being available at short notice. Thank you, April, for being here. And just come into the moment here, because I was determined not to get stressed about having no internet and to accept whatever's going on without complaint, without swearing, without frustration, because things are unraveling. There's an unraveling going on. I don't know if you sense that. Things are just being unraveled. And with this Mercury retrograde until the 22nd of this month, there's going to be changes of policy, changes of mind, changes of decision. And you may find yourself of two minds. Shall I do this now? Shall I do it later? Is this a good time to move? Is it not a good time? And you may find yourself going there and back over situations in your mind. Now, so I think it's important to keep coming back to present. It's a bit like there's all kinds of distractions out there. And can you come back and the whole of you be here? There's a scatteredness sometimes to this Gemini energy. And you might find yourself, oh, I must do this and I've got to do that. And oh, yes. And just to, once again, concentrate your energy. So June starts, well, the biggest thing in June, let's put the white elephant right in the middle of the room. The most important thing about June is we have the second exact square of Saturn and Uranus. Saturn, structure, status quo, control. Thank you, MJ. I so appreciate you. Control, not wanting to let go of how things are. Fear. Saturn is quite fearful as well. Saturn can bring up fear, especially if you're not prepared for it. And then we've got Uranus, which it's impatient. It doesn't want to wait. It says, come on, let's go. Let's move, let's go. So the theme for this month, and for all year, as I've said at the beginning of the year, February the 17th, we had the first exact square. Now this month, June the 14th, we've got another exact square of these energies, and they're squaring. So they're not happy. They're not happy together. So this is the energy of internally, what am I holding on to that I'm really afraid to let go of? And yet, if I will only release that which is no longer making me happy, I can fly to the stars. I can go to the cosmic realms of Uranus. Yeah. So what happened was that we realized in 1781, when Uranus was first discovered, that Saturn was no longer the limit. Saturn used to be the limit. And now it's no longer a limit. We've got this Uranian energy, and Uranus wins every time. Just so you know, Uranus breaks away from whatever Saturn is constricting too much. So what do you need to break away from? Do you know? Are you aware? Is there something that's holding you back? Whatever feels really constrictive, something that's got you by the neck. Maybe you're on a very restrictive diet. I am extremely restrictive. But it serves me well. So I don't change that, because I know that's a good structure. Yeah. I don't divert from that because it costs me serious consequences afterwards. So there may be structures in your life that are great, okay? And the ones that are healthy and the ones that serve you do not have to be broken up at this time. But the structures that no longer serve you, it could be a relationship. There are many possibilities here. But whatever's no longer serving you, what's making you unhappy, will have to go. Will have to get blown apart. So I'm just wondering if anybody would like to share whether you identify with this, whether you feel, yes, I kind of know that I've got to shift out of something. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't throw out the good things that work for you in terms of structure. But be prepared to shake things up. Okay, so Saturn is karma. Saturn is everything that we manifest in the 3D world. And Uranus is everything outside of that, away from that energy, and takes us to divine energies. Sudden changes, technology, future. Thank you to so many of you who are contributing here today. I really appreciate it. So we're looking at tradition. We're looking at controlled expression. And we're looking at blowing up traditions. And we're looking at instant expression. These are the two things. Okay, great. Dan is quitting nicotine. Yay! Alicia is finding a new job and changing your diet. Awesome. AB is healing from narcissistic emotional mental abuse. Awesome. Excellent. All right. This is great. When you share in this environment that is very supportive, that is non-judgmental, that is kind, you can release lots of old things more easily, more quickly. You see, Saturn in Aquarius is actually encouraging us to find structures that work, that enable us to work together, to collaborate, to cooperate, to co-create. This is what's opening up for us. So this is actually a very exciting time in many ways, and turbulent. So the rest of this year has got this signature, but June we're getting it again. So there's political tensions, there's economic tensions, there's the issue around individual freedom versus social responsibility. I'm not going to get into sides, but we are seeing the issue of individual sovereignty over your health, and other views around that. Other views, yeah, there are just other views. So it's going to be tense. There's a lot of tension in the air. Now, here's the really wonderful aspect. So we've got it now, June the 14th. We're going to have it again, December 23rd, 24th. And into 2022, it doesn't have the exact square again. But between September and November of 2022, it gets very close. So my guess is that these energies are going to be with us for the next at least a year and a half. So there's this constant managing how you're dealing with structure and how you're dealing with your individuality and how you're dealing with freedom, need for freedom. And it's about doing new things, breaking out of the old. I've done so many readings every week for years and years and years. And I love doing the readings. Yes, I have to say at one point I was doing 30 or more a week. It's dropped back and back and back. And now I am full until the end of the year and I'm changing direction. The Uranus energy is saying, hey, you know what, Bracha? You've got to keep it fresh. And so it was wonderful to go on MJ's live channel, Mary Jo Cramore, with Soulful Revolution. If you haven't seen that wonderful video together that we did earlier this week. And I'm delighted to tell you that she'll be coming on my channel here with us live next Friday. So that will be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Eastern Summer Time, EST. Okay. So I'm really excited. I have some more collaborations coming. So there'll be MJ coming, and she's an absolute expert, not only with the astrology, but also particularly with the tarot. So bringing in more new things, really important. So where do you need to keep your life fresh? Because Uranus just keeps shaking you out of it. Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is especially the things that you don't want to change. The things that you least want to change probably have to get shaken up. So here's one of the great things, is that Chiron, and I've just done a webinar part 1 and part 2, all about Chiron in your chart and Chiron globally. And right now, until 2026, we have Chiron in Aries. And around the time, so February the 9th, we had Chiron sextile to Saturn. So, and February the 17th was the square between Saturn and Uranus. On June the 23rd, we will have Chiron sextile Saturn again. And November 26th, again, this sextile of Saturn and Chiron. And to me, this is a key, because Chiron's orbit is in between Uranus and Saturn. So there are many answers and clues as to how we can travel these times and how we work through these times. And Chiron seems to be a key. The glyph of Chiron is a key. Yes, the actual glyph of it. I know many of you will know it, but I just want to show it to you here for those that don't. This is the glyph of Chiron. So what is Chiron, and what is Chiron in Aries? It's making this really positive because there's so much stress and tension. My feeling is that the sextile with Chiron here to Saturn helps to resolve these tensions. So what's it involving? Oops, I think I held it too high. I'll hold it a little lower. try again, Mercury retrograde. And we're looking at what are the wounds that must be healed. The karmic wounds are up for healing. And we can heal them now, whether it be the Middle East, whether it be vaccinations, whether it be anything that separates us one from the other. We have to focus on healing our own wounds, Chiron in Aries, and especially wounds around the head, your thinking. We've got Mercury Retro in Gemini. There's so many pieces to this energy in June, which is why I felt I had to speak with you tonight. So thank you, Uranus, for keeping the internet on for now. We've got the Brexit that's happened in Europe, that's broken things up, the transition of power in the United States that happened, the insurrection at the Capitol, the impeachment. There's so much tension. And we must take responsibility, Chiron in Aries, taking responsibility for your own pain and your own wounds. I mean, I noticed today, stupid, silly thing, but I was lost. Again, happens a lot, Hafika, Polly. And there was a lady walking past, and I said to her, you know, and it was obvious I was lost, or at least to me it was. She walked straight past me. It was like dead. And I felt, woo, just something come up there. And then I thought, no, let's just observe that. Yeah, my ego didn't like that. I was being ignored. Okay, get over it, move on. And I spoke to the next person, of course, and they were very nice and told me I was actually on the road I needed to be on. So can you take responsibility for everything that you're feeling? Can you heal whatever's in you? And it may be triggered by other people. Yeah, it may be triggered. But that you begin to notice it. But I do feel that this Chiron in Aries, simply because it makes that sextile, it softens the Saturn, it softens the rigidity. It softens that stubborn, I'm going to put my feet down energy. And it says, right, I'm going to take responsibility for my pain. And I'm not going to blame somebody else for it, to the best of my ability. So I just feel that Chiron plays an important role in this. We've also got this solar eclipse coming up on the 10th of June. I've already done a video about that. Pleiadians have done a video about that. And the solar eclipse in Gemini. And we've had the lunar eclipse in Sag, which was the closest full moon to the Earth all year. And on June the 10th, we're going to have the solar eclipse. And this is going to be one of the furthest places that the moon will be from the Earth all year. So this is very distant. So it's almost going to have that ring around it. Yeah, it's far away. So we get some breathing space. We get some breathing space to be creative, to use your hands in new ways. So at the time of the eclipse, we've got, of course, Mercury retrograde and retrograde at the time of this square. And I think we will get some shocking information, contradictory information coming out. Get ready for it. And get ready, you might be triggered. And then say, uh-oh, Chiron in Aries. What needs to be healed in me? I mean, I'll tell you something. I sent a very, very dear friend of mine in Israel a video by a Holocaust survivor that I found myself to be very healing and very touching. I was very, very moved. I'll tell you anyway, I may as well say it. There seem to be no more secrets. It was with Gabor Mate, and he was being interviewed by Russell Brand. And I found it a very touching interview, especially when Gabor said that he had been in Gaza and he cried for every single day for 2 weeks. Not because he's pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian, but just that he's pro-justice and pro-treating one another kindly. And for whatever happened, this friend got super triggered, super duper emotionally. I got a ton of messages all of a sudden. I can't listen to this. I've heard, whoa, this, you know, it was like, whoa. There was a lot of energy triggered there. And that's okay. You know, I love it just the same. But I was astonished that what appeared to me, in my perspective, to be a very gentle and compassionate take on the situation would have triggered such a response, or shall I say several responses. So I think this time has to be a very sensitive time to who you share what with, who you speak to what about, well, I can't get my words out, Mercury Retro. And really, as Mercury in Gemini likes to talk. It's very curious, it's a bit gossipy, it's very chatty. And the retrograde is encouraging you to think first before you express your opinion or your view. Doesn't mean to say you're not free to express, of course you are, but just chill it so that you don't unnecessarily flare up tempers and emotions. I think they're going to come out anyway, but that's just my take on it. It's almost like we're in some kind of a time warp. Yes, there are shifts in how time is changing. Saturn rules time. That's why I'm covering it. And Saturn in Uranus, we're going to have opportunities for time travel, time shifts, new perceptions of how time works. These are all things that are going to be changing. How are you experiencing this Mercury retrograde? I'd love to, let's chat now, okay? Let's use the Gemini energy. We've got Sun, Mercury, the moon coming up, the eclipse coming up, the North Node in Gemini. What is it that you're experiencing with this Mercury retrograde at the moment? Yeah. Let's start sharing. So we're looking at, oh yes, please would you like the video? I would appreciate that. Lucy's encouraging you like mad to like the video. It just enables more of us to connect here, to spark one another. I just think that could be very powerful. So I think it's very important to reflect about what it is you want to communicate with somebody, whether it's mentally or actually speaking. Okay, somebody's feeling very inward, been exhausting, lots of emotions. Indian traditions to wear emeralds, delays, healing your body every day. That's great, Judy. Okay, great. So really be aware of what it is you write and comment about. Here's a comment I had that really took me by surprise, I have to say. And let me just tell you, 99% of your comments are extremely uplifting, very kind, and generous. So I just want to preview what I am going to share with you, which was a comment that really surprised me. Dear Bracha, I've been a fan of yours since the early days, when you had long brown hair and you wore smart, chic clothes. And I watched as you slowly transformed into what you seem to have become today. I really liked the astrology you presented in the past, but now, what is there to say about the silliest picture of you yet? Please stop. Wow. When I shared it with my dear New York fellow astrologer, wonderful, wonderful Ralphie Finn, I love her to bits. She said, I would have written back saying, have you run out of nice things to say? But what are you saying and why are you saying what you're saying? And it's not to say that sometimes observations can be made that are true, but to do something without a charge. Yeah. So, as I said, most are wonderful. And that's, I think, why it's really very jarring when something like that comes in. That's like, whoa, it's a very Uranian moment, and expect Uranian moments where you get, whoa, all of a sudden. There's a couple of lovely stray dogs here. And going on my walk this evening, so nice. And the wind was loud and the sea was loud. And all of a sudden, give me quite a fright, these two dogs' noses are sniffing my legs. Quite by, it was just a surprise. Luckily I know them, Marco and Aftias, but it was like, woof. So be ready for surprises. Dear Auntie Jenny today had a surprise. My 99-year-old auntie, let me tell you, she's amazing. She said, I had to water the garden. She said, I couldn't bear seeing all my plants starting to wither because it's been hot and sunny in Manchester, in England. So she said it was difficult with mine. She said, I had a stick in one hand and I watered it with the other hand. And then she said, I was so pleased. She said, I was really happy. And then she said, I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't turn the hose off. So she thought, what am I going to do? There was nobody passing by because it was tea time. So the boys across the road were having a barbecue. And she shouted out, James! And he came running out. Almost immediately. She said it was like magic. She said, I didn't call you. She said, God called you. And he came and he turned it off and everything. All's well that ends well. But it was a surprise. So Uranus gives you these magical moments, these magical surprises. It's like as you let go of the known, the unknown takes you to somewhere magical, time and again. So as much as this tension is there, which it really is, there's a lot of tension this month. And then we have a full moon. I'll come to that more as we go through the month, but we do have Jupiter going retrograde on the day that the sun goes into Cancer, and it makes a lovely trine energy by the 23rd of the month with the sun. And this is very nurturing. This is very soothing. This is the healing of the emotional body. It's healing. It's the healing of feeling as though we've not been nurtured. Many of us. And learning how to nurture self. Yeah, give yourself a big hug. I mean, I've got plenty lovely teddies here, of course. And I give them lots of hugs. And the cat, and Tony, and the dogs, and whoever's around, and the trees. But let's develop the nurturing capacity. Because I think the minute you feel nurtured, the minute somebody says it's all right. I have a dear friend whose husband is in the hospital, and he's quite getting on in years, and it's very difficult. She's been there with him day after day after day after day. And she needs to talk. So I just listen. When she calls me in between the machines being dealt with and the nurses coming in and out, just listen. Mercury retrograde, wonderful time to give a listening ear. Because one of the most nurturing things you can do for someone is to listen to them. If you feel heard, you feel nurtured. So we're in this together. Freedom is going to be the big issue coming up. Jean-Paul Sartre said it's better to die on one's feet than to live on one's knees. So there is going to be this energy of fighting for freedom, and freedom lies in being bold, to quote Robert Frost. So there is a boldness here that needs to come out. But we've got to open up channels of communication with one another, and maybe just to listen and to notice what's coming up, because the words that we're using can heal or they can devastate. And the Gemini energy right now is about looking at using words in a new way. I thought it was very interesting. In Japan are some of the longest lived people. And it's very interesting. They live by something, I'm studying this at the moment because I'm interested in it, something called ikigai. And they do not have a word, apparently, in Japanese. Maybe Japanese followers will correct me here, but apparently they do not have a word in Japanese for to retire, when it means retiring from the workforce completely and not doing anything, or just, living on holidays. They don't have that word. For them, there's no such thing as retiring. They keep going. They keep wanting to be useful, no matter how old they are. And you do see this. I saw a lady, I think she was 102, showing people how to weave. So the words that we have need to be reconstructed. Thank you so much to so many of you who are really kind in these comments today. You have no idea how much it means to me to have this soul family, to have this connection, and to have Lucy and to have all of you here together. I hope that you feel the uplift. I hope you take this into your life and that you realize that this is a co-creation. This is not me doing it. It's something we're doing together. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. I have a few ideas, yes, but I don't really know at the deepest of levels. You bring it out of me. So I'm really, really grateful. And I'm going to keep changing, and I'm going to keep being new, and I'm going to keep going into this Uranus space, which is the unknown, the unseen, outside of the comfort zone, time and again, time and again, time and again. The challenge is to keep reinventing yourself at this time. So I want to thank Lucy. I want to thank April. I want to thank all of you who've generously contributed today in many ways. And I think I'd like to just close with a piece. It's a Chopin écossaise. I'm not sure I can play it sitting down, but I should try, in the sense because I sit on the floor here. But to me, it just epitomizes this playful energy of Gemini, but at the same time, the surprise energy of Uranus. So let's see how it goes. This is out of the comfort zone for sure. Mercury retrograde. Let's try again. I'm going to have to get in a different position, but let's continue. So my apologies for the multitude of strange notes in there, but we'll just call it a Uranian experience. And if you can allow yourself to be free to make mistakes, to be free not to have it perfect, to be free to try something new. And if it doesn't work, maybe you'll try it again. And if that doesn't work, you'll try something else. Because technology, let me tell you, is going to really upgrade immensely as we move towards Uranus in Gemini energy, Pluto in Aquarius. It's coming. So the more that we can just give yourself permission to try new things. So thank you for being with me today, beautiful soul family. I appreciate you. Much love.